ist dem Feind gelungen, die Front in
Bitcoin Hex was created by a guy named Richard Hart, a longtime Bitcoin investor, now creator of his own. It's an ERC20 token compatible with Ethereum blockchain. You can get it for nothing, so if it goes up, you'll gain. Bitcoin Hex, the newest trend, so get ready, my friend. This cryptocurrency is the best you'll ever see. The best thing is that Hex is free, so get it now, don't be silly. This cryptocurrency, the best you'll ever see. Hex offers a financial product like a certificate of deposit. This is the first of its kind, so surely it'll be a hit. The Hex is optimized so that you can hodl on to all your Bitcoin currency till the best deal comes along. Though of course the market is unpredictable, if you play it right, then you could score. Just take a snapshot and you're done, easy as 3, 2, 1. This cryptocurrency is the best you'll ever see. The best thing is that Hex is free, so get it now, don't be silly. This cryptocurrency, the best you'll ever see. Even though some people don't believe in it, it can't be real, they say, oh, it just doesn't fit. Hex will prove that they're not right, the future's looking bright. This cryptocurrency is the best you'll ever see. The best thing is that Hex is free, so get it now, don't be silly. This cryptocurrency, the best you'll ever see.
And we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, Hexicans, and everyone else who's watching. Welcome to the Unrekt Aussie Crew Pirate Show, or whatever we're called. Welcome. Yes, we do have a Bitcoin Maxi live. He's backstage right at the moment. I just wanted to... Oh, I've got middle-class working man there. I'm not middle-class working man. I'm actually Bloobum. I'll have to fix that. Yeah, we've got him coming on. I just wanted to give a quick background to like how this all happened. He was somebody who was on Twitter, and last year we kind of got into a bit of a tweet thing and discussions, and then we actually took it off. We took it off into Telegram, and we started a bit of conversation there, and that went for quite a bit, just like a bit of back and forth and explaining things and stuff like that, and I think we just kind of reached like a mutual kind of respect, and it was it was just like I didn't convince him of Hex at the time, but we just kind of like left it at that, and then just recently I saw him tweet something again to another tweet, and I just said, "Hey dude, what do you do?" And he went and we just kind of kept going back and forth like that, and I was telling him about Pulse, and then he said, "Well, can you send me a video about it?" And I was like, "Oh, look, just come on a live," and so he has, and so he's here, and so just before I bring him on, his name is Swalla, and he's got a YouTube channel as well. And before I was looking for kind of Hex videos to show for the pre-show and stuff like that, and I found one of the ones that he made. So I'm gonna just show you that now.
Oh, you kids really love Satoshi? Huh? Even more than your parents?
Yeah,
of
no
course,
contest.
absolutely.
At least try
All
something.
right already. But do you love Satoshi more than having your very own brand new
Bitcoin Hex?
What do you have to say about Satoshi now, huh? Huh?
One leader can fly away as far as I'm concerned.
And who do you love now?
Bitcoin Maxi.
Close enough.
Okay, and so without too much further ado, I introduce you to Swalla.
G'day.
G'day, mate. How's it going?
Feeling a bit embarrassed there. I'm a bit embarrassed.
Yes. Why do you feel embarrassed?
Well, seeing my own video pop up there as well, and reading like hexagonal dicks on Hitler. What the hell?
Yeah, man, I love that the whole meme culture in crypto is awesome, and the hex ones I think are fantastic. They're pretty funny, a lot of them, and some of the Bitcoin ones, and just generally the trading ones and stuff like that. Hey, and
Well, that was the first time I'd seen those videos, and I was thinking, oh shit, what have I got myself into?
yeah, okay, so I mean, we should probably just address the elephant in the room. Like, you do have a bucket on your head.
Yes.
You just maybe go into just maybe you just want to be anonymous? Is that it, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, for quite a while there, I just simply had just a silly old picture on my Twitter handle, and I mean, I just wanted to. I just hated being trapped behind a screen. And so I thought, I got things to offer, and I just want to get out behind the screen, but I don't really want to dox myself until I maybe figured it all out. And I thought, well, fuck it, why don't I just go and put something on my head? And I mean, I'm a fan of Marshmallow, so I thought I'd just make a whole brand new design. So I just did it.
You just made all of that. Yeah, I reckon it's brilliant. You showed me the design before, and I come from a theatre background where people use masks and stuff like that, and I think that's actually a really good one. It's because it's kind of like a really good mask. Like if I say I can imbue emotions onto you, and the mask will actually tell you a lot just by you being still. So I could say something like,
well,
I've been really depressed lately. And then it's almost like the mask.
I have to admit, with the mask, you can't do some of those videos where you kind of want to do like the happy face, sad face thing. You can't do it. Yeah. But I can express it sort of with my hands anyway. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. But I actually quite like the mask.
Well, I sort of found myself. I'm in a very small grey area right in the middle, because there's people on the far right who you can't see anything of them at all. You don't know anything about who their real name is or what they look like. And on the other side, you've got all the people who are up on stage all the time, like Andreas and all that sort of stuff. You know exactly what they look like. And I'm in that small slither right in the middle where you don't know who I am. You can't see what my face is, but I can get up and talk all I want. I'm right in that small, there's a little patch. There's not many people in that one.
Yeah, right.
I think there's one guy who wears a full astronaut outfit, and he drives around little tiny bikes and stuff like that. And there's probably maybe one or two more, and that's it. We're a very small group right in the center.
Yeah, right. Are you somewhat like known or prominent in the Bitcoin community?
As a pleb only.
Right.
I don't think any of the leaders really care too much about me.
Yeah. Well, actually, why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us about your crypto journey? Like, how did you kind of come to crypto, and what's it been like over the years?
Well, I was a 17er, and I came in, and Bitcoin was my first purchase. But I mean, I have to admit, as soon as I got in, I started seeing like heaps of coins, and your mind, you don't get a lot of clarity at that point. You do tend to just go out there and say, well, if I can have Bitcoin, why can't I just have all the other ones? And so you do dabble around a little bit, especially when the market starts crashing straight away. You start to lose your mind, and you start buying everything you possibly can. But by the time the bear market kicked in, and
so you came in at the top, did you? Or
what?
You came in you came in just before the top, or
just before the top?
Just before
everything I had basically just fell to shit.
Oh, harsh.
And so when everything when I started seeing certain like small proportions of coins that I had just turned to like $5, I went, well, screw that. I'll just get rid of them.
Yeah.
And so I've purged myself of a whole bunch of coins. But you know, I guess that's kind of why that I am the way I am, and also because of history too, because I do like to look up on history and stuff, and going down Bitcoin's history just was fascinating, and it also taught me that a lot of the stuff that gets produced today sometimes just people it just turns up with no good reason apart from just simply making riches somewhere.
Yeah.
Totally. Bitcoin's got true history.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I've got an echo going on. Is that your speaker or?
What's that?
I've got an echo. I can hear an echo of myself. Can you?
It's probably the speaker again.
Oh, right.
Is that better?
If I just talk a bit now, yeah, that's much better actually.
Yeah, I had the speaker down beside me, as I said before.
Yeah, it's getting a bit of feedback. Yeah, cool. So I'm getting it again. I'll just continue on and see how I go. Yeah. So, well, like so you consider yourself a Bitcoin maximalist now, do you?
Yeah, maximalish.
Maximalist.
I'm pretty much very heavy in Bitcoin.
Right. Oh, there is other stuff that you hold though.
Look, I mean, there's a couple of strays and stuff like that which I haven't touched since like early 2018, and I mean there's some lost shit coins as well which are like trapped. I mean, you can I don't know, at this point in time when you come in 2017, it's hard to be 100% when you got little bits and bobs everywhere. So
yeah, it sounds like you were pretty burned. Look, I mean, realistically, to tell you the truth, right, I dabbled a bit in the first few months, but then I just started buying just non-stop Bitcoin, and so no, I never really with the shitcoins I never really got high percentages at all. I never did. I never wanted to. It was like hot coals to me. I didn't want to touch them. So I only bought, like, if I did buy something, it was a very small amount. Okay, and so what was your reaction, I guess, when how did you hear about Bitcoin? Oh, about Hex?
Hex. Well, back in 2018, I mean, I knew about Richard Hart. He was producing heaps of videos, and I even saw him talking about the coin where he was going to do protein folding or whatever like that. And so he was planning on making the mining sort of to actually do something scientific apparently, and then I saw it turn to Bitcoin Hex, and then I saw it turn to Hex, and I guess I've been watching the whole thing the whole time, and it didn't feel right to me the whole time. My gut, I kind of go with my gut on this, and it just felt dodgy to me.
Right. Do you think that was because of the way that it was marketed at the time?
Well, I mean, it probably would have been interesting to go out there and, you know, like sort of, you know, do the signature for the Bitcoin and go and get just an airdrop, but no, to me it felt like I was sort of compromising the privacy of my coins, and so I'd rather no one know that, you know, how they're connected to someone. And then they started talking about the adoption amplifier, and I went, what? I was like, nah, no chance. But that came in after the whole airdrop for Bitcoin holders, and so I looked at that and I thought, what? People are just they're just turning their Ethereum straight into Hex. Well, I can tell you exactly what that looked like to me. It just basically looked like he was giving Hex tokens and just taking all the Ethereum. That was my theory.
But how was that different from you buying anything else?
Well, if I go on an exchange and I buy Bitcoin, I'm buying it from another trader who's probably bought it maybe 5 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever. But at least that person came in and then they bought it, and then they decided to sell, so they put it up for sale, and then I bought it. So I bought it off another pleb from a different time, essentially. But when you go into the adoption amplifier, you're basically, it's basically Richard Hart's contract, set up in the amplifier, and so they're the ones who are minting like 100% of it, but like maybe like 98% bar the amount for the Bitcoin airdrop. And so I know you probably say he didn't mint it. I know because of the way the contract works, but effectively it gets minted from nowhere, and that gets traded for Ethereum.
Right.
Whereas with Bitcoin, I'm buying it off someone else who's already probably worked hard for their Bitcoin before and then decided to sell.
Okay. And did you take part in ICOs at all?
I actually avoided them.
Uh-huh. So you just want to buy off other people who have bought before?
Well, that to me, that seems like the fair way.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. But also, what about if you buy anything else, like any other sort of product that you would buy, like if you buy a stereo or anything like that? Like people are making
stereo. If you buy a stereo, someone's obviously mined all the plastics and the electronics and stuff, and they've sent it around the world. Someone's created it, and then they've put it into the components, and then they've shipped it to your country, and then they put it on the shelf, and you've bought it up, and you bought it from that reseller. Now, mind you, the reseller probably sometimes, I don't know if they probably take 30% cut out of it. I'm not too sure, but someone has put in a certain amount of work, and they put in a certain amount of cost-based material. So there's a certain amount of cost within the aluminium, in the plastic, and the masonite, whatever, all the electronics and stuff like that. There's a certain amount of cost which they've had to put in there, and they've placed that into the stereo, and they've also had lots of intellectual property as well to be able to design it, and they put that into the stereo. And when I buy it, it plays music for you.
Yeah,
I understand that product Hex would be considered a product, but it doesn't per se. It doesn't play music for you. It's not a movie to watch, but it also comes only from electrical energy, and to some degree, every single time people were going into those AAs and then taking that pull for the day, they were basically like, what's the best way to say it? I'm not sure. When you mint it, it's just numbers just appearing on the screen, basically. So there's no, so they're just coming from nowhere. There's no material in them, and they're just getting traded for that Ethereum.
But what about all the work that went into designing it and?
I'll admit, sure, there's the intellectual knowledge. There's intellectual material there, sure, but it's a very small percentage.
Oh, but you have to pay developers, and you have to. The audits. There's 3 audits.
Sure.
They cost a small.
How much you reckon they would have cost in intellectual energy to go and get 5-6 developers or whatever like that to make to code it and to also produce pretty websites? I'm not too sure. What, 500,000 or something like that?
I've got no idea. Actually.
Probably do. If we assume that the energy to pay developers and then do websites and stuff like that, hosting, all that sort of stuff, maybe it could be $1 million. I'm not too sure. The truth is, right now, I checked before. Most of the money that was turned over in the adoption amplifier totals $5 billion today. $5 billion.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know what percentages are on that, but I'm sure that it's probably in the 0.0001% range. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's gone up. Crypto's gone up a lot in value since then, and absolutely, like whoever made that, it's gone has on paper made a lot of money, but none of those. I'm not sure.
I'm talking about the Ethereum though. The Ethereum, I know that's on paper as well, but the Ethereum is in the holders of something.
Yes. I mean, and what do you kind of like? And like you've seen the Hex community grow over that time. Do you think that everyone is just kind of been duped by all of this, or like do you?
No, I mean, not really.
Hang on,
I don't know.
how do you rationalize that? Like Hexicans have made so much money.
Everyone is. Everyone's out chasing gains, and there's no denying that.
Yeah.
They're all out trying to chase gains, and I mean, obviously, there was some dude who's obviously been going out there making your pink and your yellow banners and all that sort of stuff. So, look, I don't I don't deny there is a growing community, and they are, they're getting bigger and more vocal and all that sort of stuff. And but yeah, I mean, yeah, they're all chasing gains like every single one of the people out there. So.
And do you understand the basic mechanism of it, like why it's increasing in value, and like why we've seen recently crypto go into a bear, but Hex has been, really solid and maintained, if not increased its
maybe you can enlighten me on that.
Well, it's pretty simple. It's like there's a certain supply, and when you stake Hex, you're locking up that supply.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a very small amount of unstaked Hex on the market.
No, there's a big amount of unstaked. The way that Hex works is that the Hex coin inflates at 3.69% per annum, but that inflation is only paid to stakers.
Yeah. Okay. So we would. Just so I'm clear, that we would consider that out of the discussion, because if someone's staked, if it's 95% people staked and they're getting the 4% inflation added to their stakes, then we consider only 5% of the Hex on the market. Is that correct?
At the moment, there's like there was an audit done just recently, but like the OA has about 50%. There are like big whales that have about 30%, and then there's like the general public has about like 20%. And so at the moment, 10% of Hex is staked, but that's coming from all of those.
Did you say 10%? 10% staked?
10% is staked, but that's why it can pay such big interest. It's because it's only being paid. That inflation is only being paid to stakers.
Okay, just 1 second. I was looking at something earlier. God, I can't see. Like I said to you before, I can't see on this thing. Oh, okay. I can see 9.7 staked. 9.7% is staked. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. That's what that. I thought it was up in the region of. Well, why does it? Maybe it's around the other way. So that must make that. Yeah, that makes 90% of it unstaked. Is that correct?
Yeah. Liquid. Yeah.
Okay, but 50% of it is in the OA, and you said 20% is in the whales.
Well, about 30%. Yeah.
30% in the whales, so that's 80%.
Yeah.
So there's 20% in the public, and 10% of that is stake, which means that 18%? No. Yeah, about 18% is on the market. Is that right? Is available to be put on the market.
Well, it's all available to be put on the market. It just depends. Like some of it's in liquidity pools in Uniswap, and the 3 versions of Uniswap, and then others are in like just being held liquid, and those are being diluted by that inflation. But
okay. Well, I'd be curious. Sorry, I told you about it. I'd be curious to know how much is actually in those liquidity pools in comparison to the circulation.
Yeah, well, you can look it up.
Well, yeah, I would like to look it up now, but I can't see, and it'll take me too long.
Yeah, and it's
maybe someone can put it up in the chat. I'm not too sure, and then you can read it out to me because
it's a bit complex because there's Uni version 1, 2, and 3, and so there's a whole lot in USDC, and then that's mostly it's in USDC, but with that hex pair, but then there's also Ethereum, the Ethereum pair, and then a lot of it's in version 3 and of Uniswap. And with version 3, they can actually set like only to have liquidity with only within certain parameters, And so there's all sorts of stuff going on with the whole liquidity of it.
Okay.
But generally speaking, yeah, it's like it's not something that millionaires. If you go buy $1 million worth of Hex, you'll just you'll jack the price so much. So it's very hard to. You couldn't necessarily get in easily with $1 million.
Yeah,
You could if you wanted to, but you move the price so much against yourself that it deters that kind of behavior. So, but you can easily take out 100 grand, 200 grand, and you'll affect the price, and it'll be affected, but it won't be like massively affected. So
yeah, well, that's what I meant. That's what I meant the other day when I said that it's a very small amount of liquidity. If you look on any of the chart websites, and you scroll down, you've got like billions turning over daily on Bitcoin, and maybe $1 billion or something like that turning over on Ethereum. And you can even scroll down, you can even see things like Chainlink and stuff there in the hundreds of millions or whatever like that. And then Hex is like 5 or like 20 million or something like that.
Yeah.
The liquidity is like tiny. You just look down, boom, and it just falls off a cliff right when it gets to Hex.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that lack of liquidity,
that's a plus.
Sorry?
To me, that's a plus. That's a positive thing. Because that means that it's harder for the super rich to get in and out.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just thinking that you also said to me the other day that there's millions of Hexicans who have suddenly become millionaires overnight, but most of those Hexicans, if they want to exit at an okay rate, they're going to have to sell like $10,000 per day for the rest of the year. Yeah, unless they want to crash the price.
Well, you could take out 150 grand, without crashing the price.
Okay.
Even 200 grand, someone I think took out today or yesterday, and it dipped down a little bit, but it wasn't too much.
Yeah.
So there's definitely demand there. There's definitely real buying pressure. We can see all of these new wallets, being made all the time. And I've actually got a job which is literally onboarding like mum and dad Australians, and
the Hex.
Them are buying, and so there is definite, it's real people. It's all kind of like completely organic as well. Like being in this kind of community over the last year, to me, I've seen the growth of this decentralized autonomous organization, and it hasn't got any rules or regulations. It's just got its own kind of morphic kind of way of evolving, where there are kind of cultural norms like that kind of come and go. And there's definitely an ethic and an ethos to it, but there's also disagreements within the community. And but I think that because there was it's really been forged by all of this opposition to it, and especially the gatekeeping from like CoinMarketCap and the other ones or whatever, and not being on a lot of the major exchanges. It kind of, a lot of Hexicans realize it's going to be up to us to get the word out about this. But don't you think that we've been proven correct? It's been going a year and a half now. It's at 100% uptime. It has made us a lot of money. A lot of that is paper wealth that is staked into the future. But a lot of people have also taken money out, and there's people who have paid off student loans, and there's some dude who's bought there's some dude who bought a Lambo, and there's other people who are kind of who are cashing out and taking their money kind of thing.
Yeah, look, I try not to be too toxic and stuff like that. And I'm happy. I'm certainly happy if someone wants to go out there and pay off their student loans and all that sort of stuff. That's good. It is it is growing, and it is difficult to stop. But at the same time, I also wonder if it ever will reach a point where there is a knock on the door one day and it's the SEC. That's what I think is always creeping right behind you. That's all.
But to me, he's gone above and beyond nearly every other crypto in that sense, because he released it as a finished product with no expectation of any work from others. Whereas you see pretty much nearly every single other coin has this expectation that developers are going to be doing things on it to make it better, and that's what's going to increase its value. So,
well, there's no doubt there's a whole bunch of enthusiastic people who are happy to sacrifice their energy to go out there and produce those websites and stuff. But when you say that, when you say he released a finished product out there with no expectation to receive anything back, I kind of just generally think that I think he's getting the money back in just different ways.
No, you get it confused. It's like one of the definitions of a security is that when you give your money to buy something, that if you give that money in the expectation that some other people are going to be doing work for you in the future to give value to that, then that is considered a security. But because Hex was a finished product, we're not actually, all we're doing is buying the product and then going and using it with the contract.
Okay, well, how many times a week does he do a video?
Richard Hart?
Yeah.
He's done a lot. He's done hours and hours of streaming, but it's very random.
Would that not be considered work?
Yeah, well, he's free to do that. We can't.
I know. It's in a very strange grey area. There's no doubt about it. But
no, the point is that when he
goes on there, he dedicates his time, and that's sort of work. It kind of work. It's intellectual work.
Yeah,
he might not be making stereos, but he's doing intellectual work.
Yeah, but the point is he doesn't owe us that. He just does that of his own free will.
But he also, I mean, if he didn't, it probably would have crashed as well. Probably would have never got off the ground.
Well, that's impossible.
There's a potential it never would have got off the ground if he had have never turned the camera on once.
No, I disagree. I think if Richard Hart died tomorrow, I think Hex would go on. And
yeah, but I'm saying, but what I from today's perspective, maybe, yeah, sure. But if he never did a live stream from day one from the AA, if that was cut off, no more live streams, I kind of wonder whether or not he would have just sort of just simmered.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that he adds a tremendous amount of value.
Through the AA, did he do a video every day?
I don't know. I came in about halfway through, but no, he didn't. He does them sporadically. He does them kind of really randomly, and it'll depend.
I'm speculating. I mean, I don't really want to bloody pick on Richard or anything like that. I'm just thinking that when you said that someone does that the company does.
Hang on. This went back to like you saying that it was. You think we'll get a knock on the door from the SEC, the Securities Commission, and
yeah.
I mean, okay, let's say they knock on Richard's door and they say, stop what you're doing. Then he just goes, okay, I'll stop. That's it. It's, like there's nothing for him.
No. It's hard to know. It's hard to know what powers they'll be able to push on him. And I know that all you guys like to.
No, but that's the whole point. It's a decentralized contract. It's got no admin keys. Richard Hart can't even change it. Like he can't even change it. It's a decentralized contract that's completely immutable. So it's done and dust. That's why when we're having this fork, that he's making this Pulse fork, like you can't take it from one chain and move it to another. It's always going to be there. It's impossible to move off of it. And so if people want to interact with that contract, they will and they can.
Yeah. And you can't, I would imagine that you'd probably have to double check on, or like confirm this with me, but when you go out there and fork and you're on the Pulse chain, you can't, he can't switch off the S hex. Is that correct?
Are you talking about the S load? So what are you talking about?
If you forked off the Pulse, right?
Yep.
Would the can you just confirm to me that the actual that the Ethereum-based hex he can't like turn it off?
No, he can't turn it off. He can't change it. He can't do anything.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah. It's got no admin keys, so it's there forever.
Sorry, my cat is attacking me. She's going to stand on the keyboard.
Well, hang on. Let's move off of like this.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's move on to something else because I want to know about the new information.
Well, tell us what you think about this whole tribalism within, this crypto space.
Get out of here, bloody cat. Okay, the tribalism. Yeah. I mean, I talk to a nerd girl about this all the time. To some degree. She likes to go on about it. I think the tribalism is kind of created when you get a large amount of people kind of getting involved, and everyone's got their own theories, obviously, right? And so a lot of people, there's probably people in this chat, I'm not 100% sure, they probably all hate Bitcoins, right? And they're probably, what?
I wouldn't say that at all. In fact, when I mentioned that I was bringing you on, just in our little Australian thing, like there's people who kind of like admitted they still really like Bitcoin, and they're not. I don't think Hexicans are maximalists, but I think that because they were attacked so much for so long.
We're attacked too.
Who?
This is the tribalism thing, which I feel
is
the part that needs to be shared and understood.
Mm.
All the people from Hex, or all the people from Chainlink, and all the people from Ethereum stuff, they all go, why are Maxis such assholes? Why are they always attacking us, right? And guess what? Every single day there's some sort of attack on Bitcoiners, not only from everyone behind us, all the shitcoiners, all the Chainlinks and all the Ethereums and the Hexes and stuff, but we're also getting attacked straight from the Fed, the media. They're getting attacked by intellectuals who think that it's all going to crash and go to zero. They're attacked by the Elon Musk who think that it's too much environmental damage. So we got people coming from the front who are all the scientists and the doctors and the politicians and the media, and we're getting attacked from the back from all Chainlink people, from Hex people, from Ethereum people, trying to tell them that they're stealing, like Ethereum guys are like stealing all of Bitcoin's means by saying that they've got ultrasound money and shit. So we're not only are we getting attacked from the back, we're getting attacked from the front. And yeah, all the shitcoiners, they all say, Bitcoiners are all toxic, but they don't get it. We're getting from the front and the back, whereas shitcoiners are generally getting it only from like us. They're not getting any heat from the media or Fed or anything like that. In fact, they're actually getting positive. They're getting positive feedback with all this NFT crap at the moment. Cat, move.
We're on the NFT crap, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're pumping it, and it's getting good. Well, it's getting partly good. Advertisement, but it's also getting bubble advertisement too.
Well, see, the way I see it, it's like Bitcoin got really popular, and then the chain filled up, transactions became expensive, it became unusable, and they had to pivot from payment system into store of value. Yeah. Then Ethereum became popular, it filled up, transactions became even worse than whatever Bitcoin ever was. And
that also led to Hex having a scaling problem too.
Absolutely.
So popularity comes with scaling problems.
Everything comes with scaling problems. So I see the future as multi-chain. Like I see us all as in the crypto world, and we're all on the same side really. Like we all see the fiat fiasco, and we're the people who are going, there's a better way to do this.
Yeah. Well,
but yes, these are clunky databases that fill up quickly with more, as soon as they get to some sort of technological limit, and so it's going to have to be like many different chains into the future if we're going to get more and more people on. If we're going to onboard more people, and that's why he's doing Pulse. And so let's spend the last 15 because you're going to give us an hour. So let's and like you had some questions about Pulse, I think.
I did want to just chime in there. Look, I don't deny that there probably may be other chains that may still exist around there. And I heard you say that you don't like what all the Fed is doing and stuff like that with all their money printing. But what I don't see is I don't see the Ethereum guys and the Hex guys or anything like that telling the Fed guys to go and get lost. I only see the big Bitcoin guys do that. But anyway, so we'll move on.
Oh no, the Hexan community is pretty savvy on everything that's happening.
They probably are savvy, but they all talk amongst each other. They are going out there helping.
If you actually watched any of the streams, and there's tons of streams, there's like multiple hours of people going on about what's happening in the world, in the greater macro world, like that. And
I'm just not seeing it. That's all. I'm not seeing it. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably just a matter of you not really, watching any of the content.
I'm not watching Hex videos every single day, but you see I know that all the plebs and all that sort of stuff, the Bitcoin plebs, we're out there. We go out there and hammer every single fudster on Twitter.
Huh.
I don't see any other people apart from Bitcoiners doing that.
Yeah, interesting.
Maybe that's something you guys need to consider when you think about how toxic we are. We're out there trying to attack the fudsters, and I don't see any shitcoiners jumping in and saying, "Hey, these guys are right and you're wrong." You know what I mean?
We just don't see that content. Maybe that's a matter of Twitter. Like the content that we see is either people promoting or attacking Hex.
Oh, but I'm scrolling through, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right with the whole following connections, but I don't see any other people doing it. So.
Yeah, I don't see people attacking Bitcoin from the financial world. None of that ever comes up in my Twitter feeds at all. Like I don't see anyone promoting the traditional financial system at all.
Right.
Really.
All right, we'll move on because I see a lot of
Ethereum people and Bitcoin people kind of having a go at each other. Maybe, but mainly, my feed's just full Hexicans now. You know what I mean? So. I just see mainly that, and if somebody attacks a Hexican, then we see that, and then everyone jumps on, and yeah. But anyway, so we only got 15 minutes left. What did you want to know about?
I'm going to go a little longer. It's fine.
Okay. Actually, I've got Jex back here. Jex, oh no, he's not on. So yeah. What did you want to know about?
Let's go with Pulse because as I said the other day, I kind of feel that. I think there's messy elements to this. It's going to be messy, but give me a really quick bio on it.
Okay, the Ethereum fees were getting ridiculous and out of hand. With the latest fork, they increased the S load, which made end staking even more expensive, ridiculously expensive. Richard saw that there was a whole lot of Hexicans that had all these kind of small stakes where it's going to cost them just as much to end stake it as that they were receiving, or even worse, it's going to just be not worth it.
Can I just say one small thing on that one before we move on?
Yep.
Isn't the OA taking heaps of end stake anyway?
No. What do you mean?
I thought that when people end stake early, the OA takes a cut of the actual
the penalties,
and also puts a certain amount of that end stake into other Hexicans accounts. So while the gas fees might affect that, I really you got to surely the OA is taking just as much of a heavy tax.
Well, the OA is not doing any. The OA has some stakes, and they sometimes end stake.
But I thought when someone end stakes,
I'll explain.
The losses, the certain amount of losses goes to other stakers, and it goes to the OA. Yeah,
it's half. Half of the penalties go to the OA, and the other half of the penalties go to all of the other stakers, according to how many shares they have.
Yeah. But that sort of tells me that not only that someone who end stakes early is getting kicked by the gas, and they're getting potentially kicked by the
penalties.
The penalties.
Yes.
Time. And so they're getting double kicked.
Hexicans would say that's a good thing because that means it's so disincentivized to end stake early.
Don't know why. Well, I mean, yeah. Look,
Well, it rewards
you
people.
have to
It
end
rewards
stake at the right
people. Now,
time.
hang on. It rewards people for delaying their gratification, and it
Yes.
rewards people for doing what they say they're going to do.
Yeah, I get that. But when people want their money, they want their money, and they don't want to get a kick up the arse.
But these other people, but then these other people, that's why it's really important to, and that's why a lot of hexagons have set up staking ladders, so they have it coming out at intervals. But
yeah, which makes sense. If I was in there, I probably would have been doing that. I would have never done anything 15 years. I would have just done 1 year, 2 years. Well, that's it.
I mean, the thing is,
but I'm not in it, so.
The thing is, if in other staking coins, where people can just very easily end their stakes, that's what dumps down the price.
Okay.
Because you don't need to have it in there. But with Hex, it's really locked up.
Yeah.
You're going to lose a lot if you end early, especially on the long ones. So it's just not worth it.
Yes.
So that's why those coins are really locked up. That's really locking up the supply. That's why the price is going up.
Got it. Okay, so Pulse.
Okay, so he saw all these fees that were getting out of hand, and he said, right, well, and he had discussed it earlier as well, like what happens in the future if something goes wrong with Ethereum, and he said we would have to change chain in some way. And so basically he came out and said, okay, I'm going to fork Ethereum, and what he's doing is he's forking the entire state. So all of the ERC20s are coming over. So everyone will have copies of the Ethereum ERC20s and these new Pulse ERC20s.
Yep.
It's going to be a faster, cheaper fork of Ethereum, the proof of stake.
Yep. I consider all the ERC20s to be zombie ERC20s. But people are going to trade them anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you want to know why? The reason why I consider them zombies, right? So if the Chainlink people, if they need a certain amount of Chainlink to pay for the fees to be able to do their link validators or whatever the hell they are, all that sort of stuff, all the ERC20 sort of setup, right, is not useful on Pulse at all. So most of the ERC20s that exist on Pulse are just a worthless token that don't actually engage any contracts or anything like that. They don't engage the contracts.
All contracts. Every single ERC20 is a contract.
Yes, and a lot of them just simply say mint coins for me, and then that's it. So they're pretty much a dead end.
Look,
but
I agree with you to an extent. A lot of them have admin keys. A lot of them have not much utility, and it's going to be really tricky to know which ones, if any, will have value on the Pulse chain. But in terms of usability, it's going to be 4 times the throughput, and it's going to be like cents to transact on.
Yeah. So yeah, I get it. And Pulse is going to be pretty. It's going to be a lot more empty. The blocks are going to be found faster, and so yes, it's going to make it a lot cheaper for you guys to run. Now, okay. So one thing I would like to talk about eventually, I'd like to talk about the supply, because you said something the other day which just blew my mind. But so obviously you're going to have P-Hex and you're going to have E-Hex, one on Ethereum and one on Pulse. Now, I'm sure that everyone's jumping for joy thinking that they're going to have twice as much Hex, but they're going to be, obviously, they're going to be varying in price, aren't they? One's going to go up, one's going to go down. They're going to be going in different directions all the time.
Yes, potentially. They're both markets that we have no control over.
That's right. There's probably going to be a certain amount of the Ethereum one which doesn't move. Maybe the price might go down slowly, very, very slowly. Maybe the Pulse one goes up quickly. I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, everyone's happy to get twice the amount of coins, but I mean, you know, which one? What's the legitimate Hex that anyone actually wants at all? The Pulse one.
Well, I mean, part of what happened when the Ethereum fees got out of hand was that it cut out this whole segment of the population who just wanted to come in a little way and try it. They wanted to put in $100 and stake it for a few months and have a look at it. Or they just they didn't have much money, and it really cut out a whole lot of those people as well.
Yeah.
So, look, this is all conjecture into the future as to who will use it or how they will use it. But I'm going to guess that there's going to be a lot more shorter stakes on the PulseChain, and I think that because it's got much better usability, the user experience is going to be so much better. I think that it will get higher than the ETH. But then, a lot of people are predicting that the Ethereum hex will go down or even dump after the fork.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the Ethereum hex is going to lose value.
Yeah, but then it comes down to a certain point where it becomes a bargain. And there's still like 15 years of, there's still like, how much is it? Like up to 3 billion kind of staked for an average of 5.5 years or something. Like, and that's massive. And people aren't going to emergency end stake that stuff. They're just going to wait and see.
Well, yeah, everything on Ethereum is all going to be long term.
So the mechanics that have like pumped the hex price so much are going to remain on the Ethereum chain. It just will be a place where people just use much bigger amounts to stake, and they do it for longer amounts of time. And so it becomes more of a place for the bigger whales, potentially. I mean, Ethereum's turning into that anyway, isn't it? Because of the transaction fees.
Well, yeah. I'm curious about this. The stakes that happen on Ethereum, are they actually adding extreme amounts of load to the Ethereum chain? I kind of wonder, while some stakes might evaporate from the Ethereum chain, I think that all of the daily minting or whatever that has to happen on Hex is still going to operate on Ethereum because of the contract still engaging, and it'll still create load to Ethereum anyway, I think.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, like, some of the load gets taken off Ethereum. Like, I think
it'd be small. I reckon it'd be small because I don't know how the contract works. I don't know whether the contract is depositing 5 hex to someone's account every single day or not. But I mean, it's like throwing pennies.
What happens is it accrues, and when someone runs the end stake function, that's when the Ethereum network is used, and it has to go back every single day, and it has to calculate every day how much interest was accrued. So those longer stakes cost more.
Okay, so if someone's got 10,000 hex in their account, right? They'll stay 10,000 hex all the way up until the fact that they in stake, and then they'll just be given 2,000 hex they'll be given 12,000 hex at the end.
Sorry, say that again?
If someone's got 10,000, right?
Yeah. They start 10,000
all the way up until the end, and then they just get 12,000 at the end. That was the 2,000 was basically what they were supposed to be rewarded. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so your balance actually doesn't climb up every single day.
Well, you can see it accruing. You can see how much is accruing to you, but in terms of the actual contract, it doesn't actually get minted until the end of the contract.
Yeah, which does lower the amount of work that the Ethereum network has to do.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's okay, I guess. I just wasn't 100% sure if it was like depositing 5 hex in every single account every single day, because that would be just insane.
No, I think they did a lot of work to make it as gas efficient as they could. And they used the Ethereum to its limits in order to do so. And so when they started bumping up the gas prices and then starting to, this last fork where they increased the S load, and they gave the reason that possibly in the future there is this one type of potential attack that might happen when we move to ETH 2.0. And it's like, really? That's the reason that you increase the S load by like 3 or 4 times? Yeah. So that's. I mean, for Hexicans, it really does feel like we've been attacked at every step of the way.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, our hope as well, though, is that as people come over and use the Pulse network, because it's like that's what happened when Matic brought along QuickSwap, and that's what happened. You know, it was especially when that's the one I know about because I tried out Matic and QuickSwap. It was just so easy to use and so quick, and so it was like so user friendly, and so hopefully that's the experience on Pulse, and that it takes off some of the weight off of the Ethereum chain and those costs come down. But I'm really doubtful that's going to happen after like seeing their plans for their next EIP, because that's just going to burn a whole lot of tokens. It's the auction, the throughput's going to still be there, and the auction's still going to be there. So I don't see how it's not going to lower the gas prices.
No.
If anything, it's just going to raise the price of Ethereum and increase the gas prices.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. It seems to me like they're kind of trying to go for that store of value when they weren't designed to be the store of value. It was, you know, like
no, they are. I would agree with you. They probably would have been better off just continuing to make 2 Ether per block. But see, they're trying. They are. It's almost like they are deliberately trying to chase Bitcoin and trying to make ultrasound money or whatever the hell it is. They're making Ethereum pregnant, effectively. But yeah, I don't know why they're pursuing that thing. Maybe they got a bit spooked after we all, you know, picked on them for not being able to verify how many ETH they actually have.
right.
But
I mean, yeah, the great thing about Pulse is we know how much there will always be because
but ERC contracts are always obviously kind of clean cut. They always have that particular market cap thing, but you see, Hex doesn't have the engine. Ethereum has the engine. So Ethereum, if Ethereum was a car, and the Ethereum miners is what drives the car, Hex is just a passenger in a lot of ways.
Yes. Yeah,
it's
totally.
Just a passenger.
Yeah.
And I also swear, I also remember everyone telling me like a year ago, they're saying, no, the idea behind Hex is like to be able to put the cars on the freeway so that the freeway can be more efficient. So they used to pitch to me. They used to say, you know, that Hex produces more work on the chain, which grows Ethereum. And now you want to jump freeways. You want to go and get on a whole different freeway and build a whole brand new freeway with Pulse. So
yeah, the car got too big, and
yeah,
the Lambo got too big.
No,
so
the cars are the same. The cars are the same, but now it's Los Angeles.
Yeah, right.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
they have gridlock, and yeah, so Pulse now wants to be the boring company's tunnels underneath Los Angeles. That's what it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
We've got Jexa backstage. He's another Hexican, and if he's ready, Jex, yeah, I might just like bring him on.
The question I really want to hit on is the Pulse supply. I want to know this.
The Pulse supply. Yeah,
the Pulse supply shocks the living crap out of me.
Oh, really? There's going to be about 1.15 trillion of them. Yeah.
Yeah. You said existing Ethereum owners get 1%. Is that correct?
0.01%.
Oh my God. Okay, so what happens to the other
99.99%? That's getting distributed via what's called a sacrifice chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so who gets sacrificed?
Well, there's a whole list of coins that can be sacrificed, and there's also a way to.
Wait. There's coins to sacrifice. What do you mean? So you can sacrifice your ERC20 to get Pulse?
There's a list of about 20 coins that aren't finalized yet. There's like BTC, Litecoin, Filecoin, Chainlink. He's got a whole Hex. Like there's Ethereum. There's a whole like list. I can't remember all of them exactly.
Okay, but when you say that, are you saying that the legitimate BTC and the legitimate Litecoin get sacrificed for Pulse?
Yes, you can pay in a number of different. You can sacrifice a number of different things.
So they're not wrapped tokens or anything like
No.
that. They're actual
The actual
Bitcoin to get it.
Yes.
Oh god, that's even worse. Even worse. Oh. Okay, go on.
Yeah, so like basically there's going to be this like this period of time, maybe 30 days, maybe 2 weeks. It's not completely clear yet, where all of these different sacrifices get put in. Some are various coins, some are various tokens, and there's also going to be like US dollar donations to at least one charity, the Sense Foundation. And so all of this money gets thrown into this pot, and then depending on when people put it in and the US dollar value at the time that they put it in and how much they put it in, like there's a couple of metrics that are being played with, and we haven't got the full details of that yet. That has to be announced when that period will start. So then there's all this US dollars in this pot, and that's what's going to get distributed to the 99.9%. That's the other 99.99% of Pulse. So
is it the adoption amplifier 2.0?
Pardon?
Is it the adoption amplifier 2.0?
No, it's not. It's not at all.
So where did the 99%?
I mean, you could say that it's different. It's very different. So there's definitely going to be a speed component where like the earlier people whatever they sacrifice will be valued more than later people. Okay. There will also be an amount component. So people who give more will receive more, and then they're going to take the US dollar value within a 30-minute period of when the people sacrificed it.
Sure, but where does the original 99% Pulse come from?
Well, it'll get printed, I guess, from like a Genesis address.
This is what I mean.
Like what?
Oh.
Well, how does anything come into existence?
Oh God.
Yeah, you've got to distribute it in some way.
Yeah, I get it.
If you're coming up with a new network,
but there's very different things going on here, right? So, Bitcoin miners, Ethereum miners, they produce energy, they produce electricity, they consume electricity, they consume electronics. You know, they have floods, they destroy it all. They've got capital which they put up to be able to get the Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
He's going to go out there and
you're right. It's not proof of work; it's proof of stake. But I'd argue that.
Okay, I'm talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, they go out there and they mine with electricity and with electronics, warehouses, and employees to monitor them, right? So they've done all this, right? And if 99% of the Pulse is getting minted out of nowhere, and then sacrifice, and you're sacrificing real Bitcoin, real Litecoin, real Ethereum, real whatever. It's like here's a bunch of air, exchange it for cold hard cash.
Yeah, but that's what gives it value, and
I don't agree.
Why do you do the proof of work in the first place?
Why do you do the proof of work?
What's the point of doing proof of work for a blockchain?
Well, at this point in time, it solves blocks. That's the main purpose.
Now, the purpose is so nobody can attack the network.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
So that's the most important thing. That's the only difference between a database and a blockchain is that it has censorship resistance.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a censorship resistance. It's a security model. So proof of work has a different security model to proof of stake. In a proof of stake, you have a number of validators, right? And those validators have to hold a certain number of the coins, and then also other people can delegate to various validators. Yep. And that's what. And then it's a smaller number of people coming into consensus. That's why it can be faster, and so if a government comes along and says you're not allowed to do this, they come to a validator. That validator goes, okay, I'll stop doing it. But because it's competitive, there's always somebody there to fill the validator spot. And if there is a bad actor, that person, the people who delegate to those validators, they move to other other validators.
Okay.
And you need like 2/3 of the whole system to overtake it, rather than just a 51% proof of work attack.
Do the validators of Pulse?
And anyway, if you really look at proof of work, like with Bitcoin, it's been centralized. It's been centralized to a number of different miners through needing these special chips, but also in the pools. So in reality, there's only really a handful of pools in the world who are controlling the Bitcoin network.
It's the same in Ethereum.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, look.
All I'm saying is there are different security models, and in a proof of stake security model, you need the coins to have value, so that validators are incentivized to hold them and stake them, to lock them away, because that's what secures the network.
Is the validators who are doing the validation on these first few days, the first year or whatever like that, are they getting gifted a little bit of the sacrifice to get started?
Well, they get paid in fees. Then the fees, like in the Ethereum network, there's fees, but they'll get paid in fees. The fees of people transacting on the network, but 25% of those fees are going to be burnt. So it's only the 70%. But they also have to attract delegators, so they have to offer like a percentage of that of what they earn. So they have to attract the Pulse holders to use them as validators. But of course, those validators are going to be people who have big bags as well in order to be a validator.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I know. The biggest guys are usually validators.
In order to incentivize having validators and having them compete for a spot, you need a coin that looks like it's going to start at some sort of value, and it's going to go up in value. And that's why you need a sacrifice stage. You need people to sacrifice something of real value, so that when we get all these coins, we're not going to just immediately dump them. Like if they were just away, they would just be dumped. So we want that he has to like make them valuable. And so when you sacrifice actual money, whatever you sacrifice and you get a certain amount of coins, you'll know how many coins you got for what price.
Yeah, it costed you your own work and energy. But where does the sacrifice go to?
This is
it.
The product.
You said before the miners have
you're buying a product.
You also said that the miners on Bitcoin and Ethereum, they do their certain amount of work to improve the security. They do work, but the sacrifice is going where, and that doesn't improve the stake. The people who are staking, sure, they got big bags, they can do it, but this sacrifice, where the F is it going? So you can shake your head at me all you want, but I mean,
it's called a sacrifice.
This is why I'm on. I'm on to ask the honest questions.
That's why it's called a sacrifice, and that's why it's not a security. If people were giving money with the expectation that somebody else does some work, then that would be considered a security, and it would have to come under securities law.
But that's what I'm doing. That's what I do when I buy Bitcoin. I buy the security of Bitcoin. The purchase I make to some degree trickles down in some format to be able to pay some miners.
Yeah,
because they take money off the value of the price.
Yeah, and the miners are dumping down your coin as soon as you.
Sure. I understand that. That's the way it goes. I know that.
It's a different security model. Proof of stake is way more efficient, and you can get way more throughput, and it's going to be the way of the future, because that's what. But once people work out that you can do that and it can be secure, that's what people are going to do. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Swalla, I don't know if you can actually see the screen. I don't know if you've actually joined the chat.
I got a lot of blurriness.
Yeah, it's Jexa here, mate. So first of all, thanks for coming on and being willing to step into the lines then to some degree.
I'll be attacked. Trust me, I'll be attacked.
Oh, no, mate, I actually appreciate that you've actually put a lot of effort in. You've gone far enough to get a bit of an understanding of initially what Hex is all about, but I just don't think you've taken that final leap.
Well, it's just about my opinion holds me back on these things.
Same with everyone, mate. Same with everyone. But I guess what a lot of the other communities think, they think Hex is full of noobs that don't know what the fuck's going on.
I don't think that.
And the reality is far from the truth, where, much like you, we've been through a cycle. We're pretty switched on guys. We've seen the good and the bad. We've seen the ICO bullshit that went on. Didn't like it. So there's a lot of things we have in common with Maxis from that point of view. But the difference between where you sit now and where we sit is we've spent years looking at this thing. We've pulled it apart. We get the game theory behind it. And that's taken it. When you first start out, it takes, you have a look at that superficial level and you can see a few things. But if you don't understand the way shares work in the system, the OA's role, then you haven't dug deep enough. So the fact that you've taken as much time as you have to get to this point, what I'd suggest is you just take that extra little bit of time and dig a bit deeper. But yeah, kudos for you, mate, for coming on and stepping out there. It's good.
Well,
Yeah, and I really appreciate it as well, mate. And I really enjoy the kind of like, you know, everyone presenting their ideas. We got Sammy Chicken backstage before.
It was hard. It was hard texting, very, very hard. And you can't transmit emotion as well when you do that sort of stuff either. So it's really, really tricky.
Yeah. No, you brought up a lot of, you focused on a lot of good things in the space about you guys getting attacked from front and behind. So I get that. And I think you'll find the voices in Hex have been preoccupied defending our own patch for the time being. But make no mistake, they'll be front and center when it comes to defending crypto in front of the traditional banking systems and things like that. They'll be out there, mate. We're already out there talking, but our energy's a little bit diverted at the moment. So we'll be up front stage. Don't worry about that.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Sammy Chicken now, just to really set the bring in the full crew. Sammy, how you going?
Hello, I'm good. Thanks. How are you guys going? All right.
Going well.
It's a bit
Hi.
hot under here.
Hi, how you going?
Swalla's a bit hot.
Yeah, it's really hot under here.
I can imagine.
Feel free to switch your camera off, mate, if you want.
I need vents.
Yeah.
Hey, at least you've got your body on there, but feel free to switch your camera off if it's too hot, mate. We understand. We've got a few members in the community that don't like to show their face, so we get that.
Yeah. Has anyone said anything bad in the comments? I have no idea.
I haven't been looking.
Look, there's always going to be the degree of.
Actually, there's one good one. I mean, Sappa, this one's the.
Yes, the cat is back. The cat loves to come. I'm surprised it hasn't ended the stream by standing on the keyboard.
So just, I want to get your take. So have you ever swapped Bitcoin for another project? Another coin? Token? Have you ever traded your Bitcoin for... Sorry?
Huh?
So what I was saying, have you ever swapped your Bitcoin for another ERC20 or another coin?
Not a single one.
Not a single one. So you are a hardcore maxi.
Not really. No. So I have fiat on ramps.
Yeah.
So I bought with dollars, but I've never swapped Bitcoin for anything else.
So to me, that is hard. That is a hardcore maxi.
It goes a little bit in and out sometimes. Yeah.
I fiat on ramp, but but once it's in Bitcoin, that's it. It stays in there. It never comes back out again.
Yep. Yeah. So that's interesting. So you claim not to be a maximalist, but to me, that is as hardcore as it gets.
Well, no. But I mean, that's the thing, is the fact that, like, I've dabbled with shitcoins and all that sort of stuff in the past. I really don't buy them anymore.
Yep.
But I mean, I've still got bits and bobs here and there. So I don't think I would consider that full maxi. No.
Okay. So what you're saying is you used fiat to do that? I've
used fiat to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, $20 here and there doesn't worry me.
Yeah.
But like, I've never I've never turned Bitcoin into anything else ever.
Yep. No, so I actually think, like, you're right in the way Bitcoin it's expended a lot of real world resources to bring value into Bitcoin. So I get that. Whether or not that's a good thing is up for a different discussion, because there are other models to do that now. But taking that thing of value, Bitcoin, that thing of value, which is, you're saying, has built a lot of intrinsic value in it, and swapping that for something else, does that not transfer that value to that something else?
Well, the only time I've ever transferred Bitcoin to anything is actually to get a product.
Yeah,
if that's also what you meant before, like, I've bought a couple of things online and had them posted to me and all that sort of stuff. But no, in terms of like turning into ERC20s or not, no.
So I'm not suggesting you've done that. What I'm saying is, does the act of taking that thing of value and moving it into something else transfer that value into that something else? And I'm talking maybe another coin or a token.
Well, I guess in theory, yes.
So that's when you start to look at
if you've got Bitcoin and you've turned it into Ethereum and then turned it to Hex, then you've effectively become short Bitcoin and then long Ethereum and then long Hex.
I don't know whether it's a matter of being short and long, but you've definitely done a value transfer. I'd say that for sure.
You've considered the Ethereum and the Hex to be worth more than the Bitcoin that you already hold, and so no, I haven't done anything like that.
Yeah, actually, I would say I don't consider it to be worth more. I'd consider it to be worth the same at that point in time of the transfer. Okay. Now, whether they go on to accrue value at a greater amount, that's up for.
Well, for you to be able to engage that type of transaction, you would have to consider that you wanted to exit that particular position first, which would mean that you would deem it a lower value.
Not necessarily. So sometimes we have no other option. So sometimes you need to go into that thing, and for us, it's been primarily Ethereum.
Right.
So for us, we've had to be able to move into Ethereum, which we can all agree has got some value. Now, how that's determined is probably very similar to Bitcoin, and it's been proof of work. And then we've taken that thing of value just as a transition mechanism to push into something and transfer that value into Hex. So that's how Hex is getting its value, is by people taking something else and actually swapping it for it, which is no different to the way the rest of the world works. So the thing of where do you see value coming from, that's how it's attributed to Hex. That's how we've transferred value into Hex.
Sure, I get that.
Yeah. So I guess we all, and this is the stupidity of this space, is we're all on the same side to some degree. Now, there's projects out there that are just absolute dog shit, and we can all agree on that. That there's all the rug pulls and all the flat out scams that go there. But regardless of what you think of those, there has been a value transfer into them. Now, they've lost value in some cases. All that value's been stripped out by developers rug pulling or doing things like that. But the value has moved. There's no arguing that. So I think the whole way the industry points fingers at each other and bashes each other has nothing to do with the way value is transferring through the system. And I think as soon as we get that everyone clear on that, then it frees us up to stop infighting and actually start working on what we want to do, which is make a better financial system.
Yeah, well, I mean, to some degree, I think Andreas once said when the first crash in Bitcoin happened, people went back into fiat, but when the second crash happened, people like splintered out into everything from Ethereum, Litecoin, whatever it is, and they didn't go back out to fiat. And so, to some degree, there's almost a gate. There's a gate between the fiat system and the crypto system, and I have no doubt that people are staying more long term on the crypto side. But
I agree. So the first thing
I think a lot of the infighting has got to do with the I don't know, like what we've already been discussing about someone's hardness of money and about other people just printing tokens and making a fool of everything. Really, they're just embarrassing. Some of those things like pancake swap, they're just embarrassing everyone.
Yep. No, I think we can all agree. We all look across the pond and see things we don't like, So I totally get that, and that's always going to be the space. And I think a lot of it's done coming from a place of goodness where they want to protect people. And I think that's why, like, Richard copped a lot of shit where people were calling me a scammer, and I think they thought they were protecting people from Richard. Okay, so I get that they thought they were coming from a good place. Now, the way they done it, I think, was atrocious. But that is, I think the intention was there to try and protect people. And that's what we all do when we look across the pond and we look at other shit projects, and we don't want to see people put money into these things when they're just going to get slaughtered.
Well, I still want everyone in the chat and everyone like that to be able to ask where that 99% of sacrificial is going to Pulse.
Yeah, that's fine. You should, and you should understand where that is going to end up and how it's going to work. But the thing we also understand is there's a lot of rules and regulations that you've got to play within. And the reality is most projects in this space that launch are flat out securities.
Yeah, but I mean, we're only seeing, like, just a few days ago, people are starting to bring in the Big Connect guys, like, Trevon and all that sort of stuff in. I don't know if they're fining them or they're putting them in jail. I have no idea. And I seen one small tweet, but the source wasn't there, so I didn't sort of follow that up. So I don't know. SEC and all that sort of stuff, they're very slow, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, but it's also kind of a bit ridiculous anyway, because when they do actually investigate, like with EOS, and then they find out that it is a security, they just slap them with a small fine compared to how much they raised.
Yeah.
Right, so what has been one of the biggest?
Incentivized to do it all over again, doesn't it? It's not good.
Yeah. So what has been one of the biggest trends this year that we've seen play out? It's been governance tokens. So what is a security? Well, a security is, if we take it back to sort of something like equities, you get given shares. What do shares do? Well, they give you some sort of hopeful dividend in the company or an ownership in the company, and they give you voting rights. What is a governance token? It just blows my mind that governance tokens fly under the radar as not being securities for now.
Yes.
And the guys that are doing them, that's all your Uniswaps, the guys that are listing them, Coinbase, Binance, like the hypocrisy there is just crazy.
Yeah, they're enabling it.
Yeah. So Hex has gone the total opposite way and made sure that none of that shit applies. Done everything right, yet gets hauled over the coals for it. And the reason why it's getting hauled over the coals is because it doesn't fit with the way they usually do things, and you see all this the things that are actually a security, like it's the total opposite of it. So people just can't get that through their brain. It just doesn't register.
Okay.
That's why we've done things, or why things have been done a very particular way, and why so much heat has been copped for it. But I reckon give it a year or two, and when we come out the other side of this, there's going to be a lot of people that do finally understand.
Well, I'm no expert in securities rule, and I mean this is obviously an American thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the Australian Austrac think about things like this either. But being global is very difficult too. But I mean, still, we're also seeing those advertisements on those cabs in London saying, what was it, 1,300x or something like that. So,
but what's wrong with the truth though? What is wrong with the truth? If that is the truth, if that is what has actually happened, what is wrong with that?
Well, I don't think you're supposed to promote
future gains. You're not supposed to
without warnings. It's kind of like, only just a few days ago there was a Bitcoin bus. There was a bus going around Bitcoin, and it said it was like a Luno ad. If you can see this Bitcoin, then that means it's time to buy. How is it that bus has been slammed so quickly and been told to take stickers off, but the taxi cabs haven't? I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen that ad. I guess if the thing about the 1,000% or whatever it was, or 1,000x, if that has actually happened, is that false advertising?
Well, I mean, to some degree, the advertising was probably correct, but I don't think they're allowed to do that sort of stuff. So whether or not it's factual or not, I don't think they're allowed to do that sort of stuff.
No, you're allowed to state the truth. That's even contrary to most advertising. You
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
You don't get pinged for stating the truth.
Yeah. I think that's the clear distinction where everyone's had an issue with the way this was promoted or what is being said, when what is being said is factual. Nothing that has been said has been incorrect. It's just people don't like the truth being told.
Yeah, it's kind of, look, I mean, look, from my stomach is telling me it's kind of a little bit it's a bit unethical, and it's a bit don't know. It's a bit silent.
So when Max Kaiser gets on bloody CNBC or wherever he gets on and says Bitcoin's going to $1 million, that's right.
I mean, I guess that's sort of that's dicey too.
Yeah, that is actually 10 times worse, because that is a future prediction and not factual.
Yeah.
So we can all sit here and throw stones at each other, but the reality is the space has got a whole lot of shit that needs to be sorted out. And I think there's more work to be done with outreach into the traditional finance space and into the no-coiners than when we should be wasting energy beating each other over the head. I just want to touch on one point you said, because it's actually really cool.
Go on.
You said you'd never like people stayed in Litecoin and Bitcoin when there was corrections, and the first thing whenever someone new is coming into this space, the first question I get once they're on board is, okay, well, how do I get out now? How do I get my money back out? The reality is once they're in, they rarely take that option. They'd rather stay in crypto.
Okay.
And it's only smaller amounts that come out, because once they're in, they understand what the space is about. Hopefully they get that it's a better financial outcome for them. They're not getting devalued in their fiat.
Who got in recently, maybe they got wrecked. I don't know whether or not they did or not, but they would have they probably would have sold the cash.
Sorry, what was that bit, mate?
Some of the people who got wrecked in the last few weeks or something, maybe they probably would have gone back to cash.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of those guys are probably new to the space as well.
They go to the stablecoin cryptos. That's what they go.
Yeah. Oh look, there's a whole range of different people. There's traders. There's guys that probably came in, brought the top, seen this thing fall, and literally shit their pants.
Yes.
And they would have pulled out at a loss for sure. We're never going to be able to stop that. There is always going to be people that come in and buy tops.
Yeah.
And there'll be the weekends, but for the guys that come in and hopefully they don't come in and buy the tops, but they get in and they see the gains and they see how it's all working, and they can see that you don't have to ask permission to do things. That's a good thing, and those people rarely leave the space, and it just helps bring on more adoption.
Yeah, well, I've also bought the recent top too.
Yeah, hey, we all like them. We all think it's going places. So it depends on your time horizon, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
No, I mean, if you're happy to hang around, mate, feel free to hang around, because we'll probably go on for another hour or so.
I did say to Bloom that I probably need to go and pick up my kids soon. So
yeah, if I can just ask one thing though, mate, it's good that you've come in with a critical eye. The only thing I would ask is that you just give it a bit more time and dig a bit deeper, and actually, if you haven't done, read the layman's guide on the way the shares work and actually understand the mechanics behind the system, because I think once you understand that, that's where you actually see the beauty in the system and you see the way the game theory works.
Well, it would be good if maybe Bloom could send me something that relates to that, because it's hard to find some information.
Yeah.
In terms of things, I don't think I'll ever own Hex. That's
totally fine.
It does. Look, I think it would just churn my stomach too much to own it.
Yep. Yeah, and
I just find it really interesting though that you've said that 3 times, that it churns your stomach.
Emotional.
Yeah.
You get an emotional reaction, an emotional feeling to that.
It's
So
just like I'm raised.
I don't need to convince you about anything, to be perfectly
Sure, I
honest.
know that.
I want to give it. I don't, like, I don't see that's my role here at all. But I would just suggest that you just look at examine that, examine what the feeling is, and why you're getting that feeling. That's interesting. I think it might be interesting for you as well. I don't know.
I just want to keep it ethically clean the way it is. I'm just no. It just feels like a large percentage of it all came from the AA beginnings, and I feel that the whole AA beginnings was a very dishonest sort of method, and even the pulse thing it blows my mind now, that what you're saying to me as well. And so I would feel it's all kind of like, it just feels like sort of blood crypto to me.
But how do you think every other project is launched in this space? EOS.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
So you're don't get me wrong. EOS is not a great example in terms of what's involved on the project, but even things like Mina, the way that's launching currently.
I don't know what that one. What is that?
Well, probably the biggest fund in the whole space is balls deep in that.
Mina.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
So go check that out and see how they launched. It's no different to the way every other project launches.
Yeah, well, like I said, I see most of the ERC20 contracts, and they're basically, you can sort of see where they just simply minted the coins completely out of nothing, and they're just dumping them on the market, and people are just snapping them up. And
they're not dumping them; they're selling them.
Founders fee too, and all that sort of stuff. So
people are transferring value for them. That's what we're failing to sort of see here.
Yeah, and I just don't like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's your emotional and ethical point of view, I guess. I do want to actually. I want to
put in energy to go and mint it.
Yeah, I want to just hit you up on something and see what your feeling is with the whole. So the likes of BlockFi and Celsius. What's your feel on those? Do you think they're worthwhile services? Do you like them? Do you think they're good for the space?
Okay, well, I don't personally recommend things like BlockFi. There's certainly because Bitcoin's such a volatile product that it can turn that sort of stuff very bad very quickly. If it goes up or down, it can really damage a particular contract that's served on it. But in terms of project style, it's worthwhile to be able to see what happens, so that you can actually see whether or not what the do's and don'ts are. Because we're gonna need some sort of interest-bearing products sooner or later. And we're going to need some sort of like lending type products sooner or later. So they need to be nutted out now.
Yeah.
And BlockFis are going to be an example of how not to do things or how to do things. You're going to find little bits of information, and we'll be able to tweak it. So its existence is kind of somewhat needed, because we're going to need to find out how people get wrecked and how people can profit from this sort of stuff. But it's also too early, I reckon, to be flaunting with such danger.
Yeah. So when you understand the need for that interest-bearing product, that's when you understand the need for a decentralized interest-bearing product.
But I don't see a Hex interest-bearing product as being the same as the BlockFi interest-bearing product.
No, they're very.
I agree that they're totally opposite things.
So BlockFi uses the funds of previous owners, and then they have to go out there. They have to go and buy new Bitcoin to replenish some sort of contract or whatever like that. Whereas
We don't
Hex,
even know what they're doing. We don't even know what they're doing with the money.
Sorry?
We don't even know what they're doing with the money with BlockFi.
No, we don't. No, we don't. But
they take
someone,
people's money
someone
and
on
they
the
promise.
opposite end has to go out there and produce work, do their shorts and longs, whatever it is, and they have to pay BlockFi back with interest. That's the way the normal market works. But with Hex, it's actually with Hex, it's actually the Ethereum network, which is simply minting new coins to be able to pay the interest, and it's not actually coming from a particular.
Well, it's the Hex. It's the Hex contract.
There are people doing it, but
it's the Hex contract which is minting the new coins, and instead
of the work of people who are taking the risk with loans and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's a contract that you just get to interact with, so there's no counterparty risk.
Yeah, and I've also mentioned to you, I think that the Hex system is a bit of a rubber ducky in a bath, in a way that the water in the bath continues to rise, and someone who's staked is basically rubber ducky just floating on the top. But if you're not staked, you just start to sink. That's the way I view. So yourself in the market cap of the actual.
So what you're saying is, if you lend Bitcoin, you've got to pay an interest rate, correct?
Yes. That's
exactly what Hex does, but does it trustlessly with a contract.
Yeah, it does it with the contract. It doesn't do it with people.
Not true. If you're not staked,
people end stake. I guess that pays back, which is where it can get murky.
So if you don't stake, you're effectively virtually lending that Hex and paying an interest rate to the people that are lending it to you via staking.
Sure, I can understand that.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of the system. And you're saying a rubber duck floating on the top of the pond, or the bath, as you put it, but that assumes that you're not getting above the inflation rate of the system each year. And if you're staked out longer and further, you actually are.
Well, okay. So if people end stake and then they have to distribute all their coins to other people, then that might maybe prop them up. Is that what you're trying to say?
Just give me 1 second.
There's two things going on. There's the interest that it pays out in terms of Hex, and
the normal interest, yeah,
and then there's the price that it has on the market.
Yeah, I'm completely disregarding the price.
Okay.
If we just ignore the price and we just talk about the actual tokens in the contract. And so the Hex contract pays out the 3% interest per year or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But also people who end stake also give them a bonus. Is that correct?
Penalties. No. It's a combination. Well, it's a
combination. They pop a penalty, but it also gets spread between everyone, right?
Yes.
And so the rubber ducky to some degree does sort of bobble up a little bit when those people end stake.
No. You're confusing end stake with emergency end stake.
Yeah, emergency end stake, yes.
So emergency end stake is something that we thought would never really be utilised and would only ever be utilised in an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been instances where people don't understand the contract and end stake and blow themselves up, which is unfortunate, but they just haven't understood the product. But generally, end stakes shouldn't be a common thing.
Yes.
That should be a rarity in the system.
Yes. Okay.
Because if people are staking and holding and sticking to their commitments, much the same way as if you go and get a term deposit at a bank and then pull out halfway, they'll penalise you. It's that same set of rules that have been put in place to make sure that people stick to their agreements that they've said they would.
Okay.
If they choose not to, that's fine. They just get stung and they have to pay the penalties.
Okay.
So why shouldn't the people that have honoured the system get paid those penalties? A share of them?
That's fine. They will. Yes, that's perfectly fine. So the very small, the very, very, very small amount who emergency end stake, as you put it, and they go and get their penalty, and that just gets sprinkled like it just gets sprinkled across all the other contracts.
Across all the stakers, yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that just so the people who emergency and stake, they're the ones who they lift the rubber ducky just that little bit each time.
No, because that's not the interest rate. The interest rate is built on the total.
Yeah, but
Ever minted Hex.
The coin being paid out into the
so you
future.
get your interest and you get a little bit of reward from the penalty people.
Yeah, you get both.
Well, yeah.
So I understand that the supply still grows at the normal rate, but the people who are still staked, they get a small percentage of the people who are emergency and staking.
Correct.
And so they do instead of their inflation rising by 4% or whatever like that. Or okay, so let's forget about the inflation. So instead of their interest in their account being raised by 4%, they might have an interest of say 4.5 because they've just received 0.5 from everyone who's emergency and staked.
I guess yeah, but that's not. You're confusing the 3.69% total inflation with how much an individual stake gets, because there's a lot more dynamics to determine your interest rate for your individual stake. So one stake is not getting the same interest rate as the next stake.
So everyone's not getting 3.6.
Some are getting a lot more. The average interest rate, if you're staked for the average length, is about 38% at the moment.
Okay.
Yep. So it's not a proportional thing across all stakes. There's a lot of game mechanics in the background that actually, and that's why you go, I would be crazy to stake for 15 years. But the guys that have staked for 15 years are killing it, mate, because they're the ones putting up the most risk and protecting the price of the system. They're going to get the higher interest rate.
It replicates compound interest.
How does someone get 38% when the inflation rate of the actual market is 3.69 or whatever?
So, because only 10% of people are staking. So they pay all of the...
And all, like as you said, there was like 90% are unstaked.
Yes, liquid hex.
Got it.
So you're
there's people who are getting 0% interest.
I mean, the penalties and that has to work that way, because otherwise the inflation has to go somewhere. And so if someone is emergency end staking, what they would have earned has to, or what they have earned so far has to go to somewhere in the system. And so because they're penalized, it has to go half to the OA and half to all of the other stakers in order for the contract to be in balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that now. Makes sense. Rightio.
So seriously, mate, have a look at we'll get a link out to you for the layman's guide that explains all the shares, because all those questions you got, like you're really digging into it deep, and it's just that extra little push where you actually understand the share mechanics of the system, and that's the important part of the system that most people never take the time to understand.
See, the thing that I find ironic is that you have this physical reaction that it's not ethical, but like from my perspective, it's more ethical. This, like, Hex is way more ethical than anything else, because it's just a contract that anybody can interact with, and that is always going to self-balance itself, and that it rewards delayed gratification and people who do what they're going to say. So to me, it has a higher moral standard. Pardon?
Those parts are fine by me.
Yeah, so for me, it has a higher moral standard.
Look, all the interest,
and the real beauty is that it captures individual greed, and it utilizes that for the greater good.
Yeah, look, I don't necessarily have a problem with the whole with the people getting interest for staking and all that sort of stuff. That I don't have a problem with that. That's not ethically what I'm talking about. I just have I just don't trust where the money went, where most of the Ethereum went, and especially even worse now that this Pulse thing's going to go out, and then 99% is just going to just, like, of other people's real assets are going to go somehow to go and create more of these pulses there. That's where my ethics just end. That's it.
So you're
Don't like
let's bring this back to something that you're familiar with the Bitcoin mining. So you're happy that the funds that your fiat that you swapped for your Bitcoin went to, I don't know, an electricity company. That makes it better because it went to an electricity company.
Well, it's only part that, yeah.
Or to the
it went to someone who's done hard work.
What's that? Sorry.
It's gone to someone who's done hard work, and but the Bitcoin that I buy hasn't necessarily gone straight to the miner. I've just simply bought it from another hodler.
Ultimately, it's gone, like the source of all of this, if you're taking it right back to the root,
yes,
is a miner.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Actually, look, there's been a lot of questions in the chats that I haven't really been going over, and I've just noticed like a lot of people have been asking certain questions. So, do you mind if we just ask one question from the chat? Because Silver the Antidote's I think he's been really wanting me to ask this. Bloobum, can you ask Swalla about the centralized miners and now in the process of shutting up shop in China and exporting the hardware to whatever locations and all the potential risks to network?
Yeah, that seems fantastic to me.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, I'm friends with tons of guys who are going and doing mining in throughout America and stuff, and there's other people doing it in Australia too. That's fine. If people have been harping on about Bitcoin mining all being in China, you know, going off that dam that's about to bloody collapse, then sure, just, you know, split it up amongst the mining pools, and if those mining pools are spread throughout, you know, Iceland and Venezuela and Colombia and the States and Canada, then fine, that's good.
Yeah, I actually agree with that.
Know?
Yeah, I've got no opinion on it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just is. There's nothing wrong with shifting that. What I want to get your thoughts on Elon. Like, he's obviously taking a bit of mind share, and whether or not he's responsible for what's going on is debatable, and I don't think he is. But to have someone that's supposedly in your camp? What's the community's general feeling towards him?
Yeah, I mean, look, the community are smashing him right now.
Yeah.
Me personally, I've said multiple times that you know, Bitcoin is more than just single people. You know, I'm sure that with a few more years under his belt, he'll probably end up coming around to some more clear ideas. He's probably already pretty well educated on it right now, but he's thinking, but all the stuff he's splitting out right now is just kind of like, it's so easily debunked. It's silly. But look, he'll come around sooner or later. But I mean, I don't know.
It's not good having rogue people like that in your community.
I think he's to be completely clueless, and I'm kind of even doubting like how much involvement he had in all of the other stuff that he's supposedly done.
He's asking the same questions we ask in the first 3 months.
Pardon?
He's asking the same questions we all ask in the first few months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so when people say, "Oh, Elon's
meant to be a technologist,"
come on, let's be serious. Because everyone knows Dogecoin. Dogecoin is a fork of Lucky Coin, which is a fork of Litecoin, which is a fork of Bitcoin. So why would someone be trying to pump a coin which is 4 forks away from Bitcoin?
Well, what if he's actually just an actor, and he actually is not behind a lot of the shit that he's done?
There's probably is a bit of that. I can't speculate on that.
That's what he comes across to me as. He comes across to me as someone who's a bit clueless, an actor.
He has shareholders who are angry at him. We don't know. I mean, I've seen some of their conferences, and they have people jumping up and they say, "We're really pissed off that your chairs still have leather in it." If he's got that for shareholders, then yeah, they're going to be emailing him about you know, taking deposits in Bitcoin.
Really, you reckon? I mean, they've made so much money on Tesla stock. They probably don't give a shit. They've made it's ridiculous.
Well, so the Tesla stock is probably pumping because people are trying to buy the ethical Tesla, the ethical stock, because they probably maybe they don't want to buy Coca-Cola and they don't want to buy BHP, and they don't want to buy, Aramco and stuff like that. So they want to go and buy Tesla because it's new green energy. And yes, those people are all the people who, they kick up a stink about leather seats. So they're probably mouthing off to them every day.
So I agree when that comes back to what you said about having people that should be on your team that are out there bashing you on the traditional side, and you guys are expending a lot of energy fighting that good fight. And I think I don't think there's any Hexicans that think want to see Bitcoin do poorly. That's not the way we think. We understand the important role it plays in the whole space.
I did a bit of a tweet thread just like maybe a week ago now, saying, look, the truth of the matter is, right, all these people who pick on Bitcoin, you got to understand that when Bitcoin gets its ass kicked on the market, that when it goes down 25, 30% or whatever like that, most of the other coins, they all went down somewhere between 40 to 60%. And so you can't. It's kind of if you're loaded up heavy on certain bags, you kind of don't want to. You really shouldn't pick on Bitcoin because it's just going to hurt your bags twice as much. And that's the danger.
Well, actually,
you know what chart we should send him is Wales only chart, the correlation chart.
But what's been really nice about Hex is how uncorrelated Hex seems to be for the crypto market, whereas everything else seems to, exaggerate what Bitcoin is doing. Like Hex has got its own thing going on. It's not correlated.
It's probably a lot more difficult to trade because it's like 2 layers removed, and the gas fees too. Remember, so like if you want to trade it,
you've got so much more information about what's happening. If you want to trade it, you've got so much more information about what's happening. Like in terms of being able to research who the big whales are and what they're doing, like. It's all there on Uniswap. Whereas when you're kind of like trading this other stuff in all these exchanges who are doing God knows how much wash trading and all that kind of stuff, like, I mean, if you really wanted to trade it properly, then you've got a better chance with Hex because you can see what plays are going on and what's happening. But if you just want to, which I guess most traders are.
So Bitcoin, I think its main role at the moment now has become that high liquidity asset that big players can get a piece of the market with. At the moment, there's a rare few assets in this space that they can come in hard with and have the required level of liquidity if they need to be able to exit in and out or change their positions or not get massive slippage. So that's the role it serves now, as it's becoming more of that institutional coin. Ethereum's probably not far behind it now. That's starting to get to that level now where probably the larger, smarter money is probably looking towards Ethereum now because they're chasing larger gains that they may not see in Bitcoin, although they'll still see spectacular gains in Bitcoin just because of the nature of the asset. And Hex is nowhere near that. And what we talk about liquidity levels in Hex, it's a new project, a new product. It's just started out. Like we can't expect it to have the depth that a Bitcoin has, given we've only been kicking along for 18 months.
Well, I'd hate to kick the hornet's nest right in the face, but what is the use case of Hex outside of the interest-bearing scenario?
Yeah.
When it's on an Ethereum being staked for 15 years.
So I'll ask you, what do you do with your Bitcoin now?
Well, I have bought a few things with it. In most cases, I guess just like what the Hex guys do, but at the same time, I have bought things and I intend on using it as as something.
So would you? So if you know that you're holding Bitcoin and it's going to go up, let's say it's going to go up 10x. Would you go buy goods with your Bitcoin that you think is going to go up 10x, or buy it with your fiat currency?
At the moment, fiat works faster, obviously.
Yeah, but what? So
and people take it. That's the thing.
So tell me what's the purpose of Bitcoin at the moment then?
At the moment, well, it's building.
So why do you hold it? What's the purpose of having it?
It is a what's the purpose of having it? Let's see. So it is a hedge.
Mm-hmm.
It is a hedge against the global economy. And it's also for me as well. I also like to explore technology too. So it's also understanding, exploration, all that sort of stuff. Education. But its purpose, I do buy products with it, and I also hedge the market on this.
So is it a store of value, or is it a means of transfer? What's the main thing you hold it for?
Well, yes, store of value and also a medium of exchange in circumstances where I need to go and buy things. Yes.
Yep. So is the use case of a store of value not good enough?
Well, the use case of store of value has worked just fine as well.
Yep. That's all we see Hex is.
Exactly.
That's all we see it is a store of value. It doesn't have to do anything else. It doesn't have to be able to be spent for a cup of coffee. We don't give a shit about that. Because why would you spend the thing that is an appreciating asset and your store of value? That's why liquidity doesn't have to be high. That's why there's not a massive amount of transactions. We don't need it because it's a store of value. And the reality is Bitcoin is now getting dragged off of exchanges and put into the books of institutions because they want to hold it as that store of value. They're not getting it to buy a cup of coffee with. We're more alike than what you think. The only difference we have is a mechanism to produce yield.
Yeah, well, I do know plenty of people who use Lightning every day, so they are out there.
But do you need that? Do you really need something?
Some people do.
Buy a cup of coffee.
Some people who have had closed bank accounts, yes.
Yep, that's fine. So
Venezuela and stuff, sure.
Yep, and if we've got other protocols and other coins that do that well, awesome. It's all part of the ecosystem. And if we can move between those, and if Dash does a brilliant job and gets traction everywhere, great. We can go use Dash to pay our cup of coffee with. The reality is most people these days are loading up debit cards. Crypto.com, all those guys. Everyone's taking their Bitcoin and whatever, putting it in centralized places so they can be able to use a Visa card or a debit card. That's what everyone's doing.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is obviously that I know that you guys want to release Pulse and all that and stuff like that, but at the moment, Hex is sort of reliant on whatever chain is operating it too. So there's that small, risk that while Bitcoin sort of can hold its own in the market and control its own network, Hex is reliant on either Pulse or Ethereum to survive.
You see that as a negative?
Well, yeah, I kind of do.
We see that as a positive because we can migrate to wherever we need to. Hence why Pulse is being built. Ethereum's shit itself, so now it's time to move. We could have moved to Binance if we wanted to. Could have moved to DOT. We could have moved to a number of different things. Maybe not DOT and ADA at the moment, but because they don't support smart contracts. But that's what we're saying is we've got this contract that is independent of the rails it runs on. So we can pick up and move to wherever the most efficient network is without damaging our store of value narrative.
And still remaining on the chains that we were on because you can't take it off.
Yeah, Bitcoin is locked onto a network that is old technology that they have to stick with now. They've built so much value into it that they have to stick to it. And I'm not trying to bash Bitcoin because I think it's awesome. But that's the reality of the situation. You see the ability we've got to migrate as a negative when it's not.
Well, when you're on the Pulse, it sounds funnier than when you're on the Pulse. So when you're on Pulse, you're relying on the validators to want to be satisfied and be able to continue to validate the actual chain.
Yeah. Yep. No different to any other network.
They're only getting fees. What if it becomes store of value like what you're saying with the whole with Hex not wanting to end contracts or anything like that, right? Then that means the amount of fees getting paid to the validators could, I'm just saying could, in theory, be quite low.
Fees to validators?
Yeah, because like 25% is going to be burned, and it's only 75% is going to go to them. And if they're only doing emergency end stakes or just plain old end stakes, every year or something like that, if it's very rare, then I mean, you could have so many blocks empty. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So
there's going to be like strings of empty blocks.
Yep. So you're right. So when a new network starts, if it's empty, then validators are doing it for what could be free. Totally agree with that.
I'm thinking there is a potential. There's a potential for Pulse to be starving for for a while there.
Yep.
Especially if the Pulse coin gets launched really cheap. Like let's say the fee is only like a fraction of what a Pulse coin is, and a Pulse coin, even if a Pulse coin is like 5 cents, it's going to be a fraction of 5 cents to be able to keep those validators interested.
I totally agree, and the ultimate success of Pulse in terms of how much adoption it gets will be how many people come and choose to play in the ecosystem. But we've already seen Ethereum is struggling. Binance has been run up with their smart chain, and people have moved there because they can operate there. Same with Matic. People shifted onto Matic, and it's a pain in the ass to bridge across onto another network, but they've done it because now they're freed up from the tyranny of the fees on Ethereum.
Yeah, the Hex data would be huge.
Yeah. So if you think people aren't going to migrate to a chain where good projects are brought across onto it already, some, like you say, some will turn into zombies. The teams won't choose to support them, but the true DeFi projects have no option. They're live on it. They'll be operating. They don't need someone to come and change anything. They will bring across and they will work. So
I would even suggest that the community rallies to turn some of those dead tokens to switch them off.
Yeah, I think that will.
I would not want people going out there and buying the wrong chain link or the wrong this and that.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty. It'd be pretty obvious. You would know that if you're getting onto the chain.
If you fork some Uniswap and that Uniswap operates the exact same way, and people start buying zombie tokens, that's a net negative, I would think.
Yeah, I don't think it is likely to happen like that, because you need to be on a network to be operating with it. So it's not like you're going to be on the Ethereum network and inadvertently buy the wrong token. And in a lot of cases, the Uniswap, its token is bullshit. It's a slapped on token on the side of the thing. That's not actually what brings Uniswap value. Uniswap as a DEX will operate on Hex and do its job. Operate on Pulse and do its job.
Yeah, I'm guessing the Uniswap protocol is like an open source protocol.
V2 is, yeah.
Not V3.
Nah, there's some licensing on it.
So they'd have to use V2 to be able to swap your Pulse Hex.
Yep, which is exactly what Matic does with their quick swap. Same as PancakeSwap.
Right.
So it's the same code ported across and utilized on a new chain. With now, what it would be great to see and what we'd love to see is the Uniswap team actually come across and support V3 on it. That would be fantastic. And if they're seeing transaction volume on V2, they might be inclined to fire up their V3 and support it.
Yeah.
People are asking
coming to my end here. Probably keen for a break. There was someone who said, if I use Ethereum, not anymore.
You tried it? You didn't like it, or what?
I mean, I tried it, but I gave up in the end.
You couldn't work out, or what?
I learned enough about it, and then, yeah, most of the things that I was mucking around with, I realized were kind of, yeah, like what you said earlier. They were just they were tokens that really didn't do much. So I kind of just threw them all away, sold them all.
Yeah.
So I don't use them.
Look, we don't. A lot of the people in the Hex community are standing back in astonishment, still seeing what's going on this year, because we've just done an ICO, we've done an ICO craze by a different name this year, with bloody NFTs and governance tokens and all that sort of shit. It's not great for the space, but that's what's played out, and we seem to keep.
Airdrops are okay.
Airdrops were good. Yeah, we're all cashed in on airdrops and done right off the back of those. But like you said, most people dump that stuff.
We don't mind that model.
Yeah, but no doubt there's been a lot of shit that's been revamped again this year, and the governance token is literally the ICO of 2021 and 2020, and they were doing it in an even more efficient fashion with the DEXs these days. So that's the world we live in. We can't change all of that. That's why what we're trying to do is get away from that and not encourage that.
Yeah. All these questions, I can't barely read half of them anyway.
Someone just asked, are there any other tokens or smart contracts that you do interest you?
No.
Nothing.
I'm busy enough.
Yeah.
It's not about, I don't know. It's exhausting enough. Looking at this entire space, the way it moves, and
I mean, for Hexicans,
I got work and I got kids. Like, got to do my own thing.
See, the nice thing with Hexicans is that, we have to be on exchanges to get from fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat, but we can just be on there for the shortest amount of time. We get our keys in our MetaMask or our hardware wallets, and then when we swap for Hex and when we end stake and all of that, we can just do it all with the control of our own keys. And so we can, buy Hex, we can lock it up, we can earn interest. The price goes up because, people are basically paid to stake, essentially, to keep the price up. Yeah. And so we're making lots of money because lots of people are jumping on the amazing product of it. And we can choose when we come back out into fiat, and when we do, we just have to spend the smallest amount of time on the exchange. So,
I mean, the only one thing that
for us is gotten rid of all these.
Is the fact that you always have to hold your keys.
You always have to hold your keys.
Well, yeah, because you have to. Well, I mean, yeah, because when you put on MetaMask and stuff like that, you're basically holding your keys all the time.
Yeah,
that is one positive, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, right. Positive, yeah.
It's good from that perspective because there's plenty of people buying Bitcoin, leaving them on, Binance and stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, they're just gonna close up. But anyway, if there was any final questions or something, I think I'm keen to go and get this helmet off.
No, thanks for joining us, mate. It's been really good. It's good to chat, and I'll have to dig you out on the Twitter sphere and see what you're up to from time to time.
I'm just praying I'm not going to get absolutely shit canned. Either from the Bitcoiners or the Hexicans. They're going to tear me limb from limb.
All love in Hex, mate.
Yeah, no, I think they'll be kind of I don't think they'll tear you limb from limb. I think they'll probably respect that you've had the guts to come on. And
I saw a few people. Laughing, but yeah.
Yeah, of course,
mate. That's all. We can't control all the communities, mate. You know what that's like.
You apart. That's just I'm sure. I reckon they'd respect you for coming on, even if having differing views to people, and then going on the stream and standing up for what you believe in.
I've been in a few Twitter storms where suddenly I get ganged up by about 7 people. So I've seen it before. It happens.
Yeah, well, Twitter's a bit of it kind of encourages that kind of behavior, isn't it?
Yeah, it's vicious.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks heaps for coming on. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the Twitter sphere, hey?
Yeah. You'll see me out there.
Thanks,
cool, bro.
mate.
See ya.
Nice to chat to you.
See you later.
See ya. Oh,
That was good. That's actually good to have someone on that's total different viewpoint. I love
Yeah.
that. That was really good.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Hey, so how long you been going for now, mate? You've been
Yeah, it's been
running for
over-
2 hours. Do you have a time limit like the Hex Late Show, or you just keep rolling with it?
I normally like to keep it at around 2 hours, but if there's anything else you want to discuss or
Oh no, I wouldn't mind getting back to my family for the rest of the day, but I just wanted to jump on and I thought it was a really great opportunity to have a chat with someone.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate your calmness. You're like you have this beautiful presence, which is just really kind of like just really calm, and I can feel myself all get fired up and stuff. You know?
That was good.
It's hard when you can. We know what we know because we've been head down in this thing for 3 years now, probably more years, because we're following it from before it actually launched. So it's hard when people come in and they've done no research and they're trying to put up a point. I actually respected him because he knew a lot. Like he'd done enough. Like he dug a little bit to understand a bit of what was going on, which was cool.
Yeah.
I think if you can take that next step and dig into those shares, then I think if you light bulbs might go on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I enjoyed that.
Quiet. Unusually quiet, Sammy.
I know. I was a little bit taken back by, he was very strong-minded and very Bitcoin Maximi, like he just wouldn't really have the idea, or accept the concept, and even calling it unethical. I thought, I'm not gonna jump in here. And Jack, so you did so well trying to explain to him, what Hex is, and that it's probably totally not what he thinks. But then again, that's what he wants to do. And I don't hate Bitcoin at all. I actually like Bitcoin.
No, I think what the problem is, and I get this because they see Bitcoin as they've taken fiat and put it into Bitcoin, and they see some intrinsic value in it. Where people's mindsets break down is beyond that. So the moment you give up your Bitcoin or for anything else, that seems to be the point where it triggers. That's all I can see, is because it's.
I think it's about being attacked. I think he they feel like they're attacked from both sides, and so it's the same with Hexicans. When we're attacked, that's what actually like steals us up and makes us kind of like. Yeah. That's what formed.
Maxis have been fighting the fight for 12 years.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would he just want to go back and take a 10x when he can take a 1000x? That's what I don't understand,
That's right. It just shows we've got a little bit more work to do, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Any news on the Pulse launch, guys? Have you been in the chat? Anyone else know some secret insider information?
Oh, I don't know about secret.
Yeah,
I think everyone's patiently or impatiently waiting. I feel like it's getting closer.
The chat died down a bit, and then Richard came in and just threw a little
threw another couple of hand grenades.
A little hand grenade.
Back down again.
You guys,
that's what I said. I reckon he just keeps putting things in there that keep us busy, so he's off his back.
It's a great idea, actually. I know there was a lot of resistance to it as well. If anyone hasn't heard, it's basically that he was thinking of, because he's like printing more ERC20s than there actually are, and using them for liquidity mining as rewards. So it's a huge subject.
There's a lot of ramifications. And
how much do you print? Do you print just 5% more? Do you just double the whole lot? And then how do you distribute those rewards? But I think he really likes the idea of liquidity mining because it is so popular, and it really does throw a lot of activity onto the chain, and all of it, and also it provides all of these markets instantly with liquidity, and also because you're going to have all of these big whales and these other ERC20s, and for them to be incentivized to not just dump whatever they have and run, if there is liquidity, like there is rewards for adding liquidity, and you can string that out over a year, 2 years, 10 years. I mean, like it will incentivize them to not just dump their stuff and run. And so, but then how you do that, and if you can do that in a decentralized way, it's and then how much you do it, and how the rewards are. Do you do it to all of the coins or just a few of them? So that's what the hand grenade was. It was like, wow, could be so many different things. And so
if we do this right, like if we have bridges that are trustless bridges and things like that, that's awesome. If you get that right, and there's no admin keys in between all of that, that'll be the thing that builds confidence, and people know that it's safe to bring funds across.
Yeah.
And you're booting it up with people already have stuff on the network. That is, they don't have to bring things across. They plug in their MetaMask, flick a switch, instantly whatever they've got on ETH, they've got on Pulse. They can actually do something with it. They can play with it. It costs them nothing to do it. If they can start providing liquidity and doing things on there, yeah, awesome.
And imagine if you had bridges to like the top 100 tokens that was directly over to ETH. So you could be trading ETH Hex with Pulse Hex directly, ETH Link to Pulse Link directly, and all of those, as well as the bridge of, and then the Uniswaps on both sides, and it's just like, whoa, that's like a lot of interoperability. Hey,
I will give Swalla something. He did bring up the zombie projects, and I think there's going to be a lot of that as well.
Oh, there's 8,000. There's like 8,000 or 10,000 tokens on Ethereum. Like, how many of them on Ethereum are already zombie tokens? Essentially,
yeah. It's a shame. Like, you've got to bring all that crap across, because it's where do you draw the line if you start filtering on what you bring across?
Copycats. That's where you draw the line.
Yeah, that's it. That's That's not a bad place to start and finish the line, I guess.
Yeah, but when you start like doing the liquidity mining, and then like, do you do the whole lot, and then that would be amazing. That would be intense.
Yeah. I think we all knew this was always going to be a pretty audacious undertaking. So, yeah, good on you.
And it is that thing of like, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And then all of a sudden, well, you could do this then. Oh, we'll print all of these then. And what happens if we did with that? And
I think that's the danger. This could blow out for a long time if you try to do too much. So I think you've got to get those core things right that are going to bring it across safely and give the best chance of activating without
and a lot of it's
making it too complicated.
Yeah, and a lot of it's determined by if a developer just says, no, forget it, or I'll have to think about it, I'll try it, they do it for a week and no, or it's possible. It's all of that kind of stuff as well. Like, it's just what technically is possible, hey?
But you go, I think, I'm not sure if it's Pancake Swap or some other interface I was looking at, where they've literally just got switches that you just flick on which network you want to be on, and you're just jumping between all the different networks to play in all the different environments. It's awesome. The smoother that gets, the easier this is going to be. And if that's all teams have to do is just add another network setting in there, it's not that hard.
Then it's a kind of a no-brainer for them to, well, if we're getting we can provide liquidity and get rewards, and we're like, it's easy to do, why wouldn't you do it if you're on a cheaper, faster network that has a deflationary coin? Like, it's kind of beating ETH2 to the punch, isn't it?
Yeah. I reckon it's a cracker. I think it's going to be a lot of attention.
And I heard they just delayed again the EI.
Did they? Oh, this is the London fork?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, there was some things they couldn't do, or there was some blah, 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 I don't know, but it's another delay. So, yeah. Well, let's have
Silver's question.
Yeah, okay. Is this one? What's your guys' thoughts on speculative value? Better get into Pulse Sack, or better to hold for the Hex Snap? Yeah, it's a hard one. It's really hard one giving advice to people as well. I just try to explain everything that's happening, and like, I see Hex as still the best kind of value, but the Pulse has such speculative value, and like, I think we just really have to wait until what all the exact kind of specifications are of sacrifice period and
yeah.
what happened. Like, is he going to print a whole lot of new ARC20s and have them as rewards for liquidity mining? Like, that could add massive value to that sacrifice stage.
Mm.
And
like, it is going to be hard to sacrifice Hex. I'm not going to lie.
Me too.
For me to push that in there is going to be hard.
Yeah.
And even stuff that I've brought across now for the express purpose, like I've put it into Hex for the purpose of sacrificing, that's still going to be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, it's even hard to hold off staking it.
Yeah.
Perfectly honest, I've got 15% now liquid, and I'm just sitting there and I'm just itching to stake it.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If you had some certainty of how many months this was going to be, like if you knew it was going to be 3 or 6 months, you'd just go, I'll just stake. But this could be imminent, 2 months away. I think you got to have a balance where you got some flexibility there, or you reckon it could be sooner.
Yeah, and if you're holding liquid, you're just kind of getting diluted.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Like I'm sitting there, I literally had that discussion internally. I woke up early this morning and I thought, should I stake it? Should I? It's just hard to sit there and watch it.
Maybe I'll just stake a little bit while T shares are still, good price. But then I thought, nah.
But you're only going to short stake it though. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, this sacrifice stage is like the beginning of Hex. I really feel if you a second chance. So for anyone that didn't get into Hex early, it's like that second chance to go in hard. Do
you want to jump on for a sec, Silver?
Yeah, come on if you want to have a chat, Silver. I can go for another half hour.
Yeah, I have been sort of thinking about how that could work.
How do I do that? Do you want me to send you a link, Silver?
I could probably send it to him on Twitter, direct message.
Okay. No, I've got him on Telegram, I think. Yep. Okay. He'll jump on when details are
okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it really is so speculative, hey. But like the way I've been thinking about the value of Pulse is like it's going to be somewhere between, let's say, 100 million and $1 billion of USD value going to be thrown in there. That's total guess, right? And so let's say it's $1 billion which is thrown in. That puts us at about around 100 in terms of market cap of all the coins, and so the room to grow then is like quite a lot. So so if you've spent like whatever your portion of that $1 billion is, it's got quite a bit of room to grow, like in terms of catching up to ETH or Binance Coin or Polkadot or whatever, the other thing is, depending on the network effect and stuff like that. And it is a really deflationary coin.
Yeah.
So it could go up in value a lot quicker than that other stuff as well.
I think in just responding to Silver's question, I think the OA it'll try and keep some sort of equilibrium between the systems. It can be used. So depending on staking behavior and share rates and things like that on the two independent systems, by choosing to stake more or less, it can help stabilize the interest rates across the chains. Yeah. So rather than have people flicking between because they get better interest rates on different chains, you might be able to use that as a stabilizing factor between the two. So just
not really though, because like when you make a stake, you're going to make it for a pretty long term. Like Pulse, you'll be able to make shorter stakes, but
why can't the OA do short stakes?
Yeah, I can. They can lower interest. They can absolutely lower the interest rate. They can't raise it unless they start.
But they could set a limit between the two and then be able to balance between the two.
Yeah, I think that it's still looking like it wants to onboard as many people as possible, and so it wants to keep the interest rates really attractive.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I don't see people sort of jumping between the two chains so much.
Hey, God, are you still going to transact on ETH Hex, or would you just abandon it? Yeah.
No way. There's that much value locked in that network. I don't Look, yeah, it's going to be volatile. There's going to be a whole lot of shit going on until it stabilizes, but it's going nowhere. Like, why would you?
Yeah, you wouldn't
Get rid
emerge
of-
as fake. It's all just
Why,
like,
yeah, why would you get rid of the value? Like, there's no reason to get rid of the value.
yeah, you're getting interest.
So, but you guys will preferably go over to Pulse, or will you make
I
your
won't
mind?
have a preference either way. Like, I'll
Just use
Yeah.
both.
yeah. To me, that's just double the fun. Like,
Yeah.
I'll use them for different things. So you might have a shorter income stream set up on Pulse where you can cycle in and out easier. Possibly, yeah. Do you see
Just keep
Silver's?
making them.
Sorry, children. You see Children of the Graves?
Oh no, hang on. Where am I going? Children of the Grave. You mean Silver? No.
No, should be another one there above Silver's.
Children of the Grave. He was talking to Silver the Antidote. Says, I have a feeling that the OA will be donating a lot to the Sense Foundation via Ethereum.
Oh right.
I don't via Ethereum. Yeah. Not by, definitely not Hex, but yeah, I reckon there'll be.
And he was talking about people just directly donating their US dollars to the Sense Foundation. Don't have to go through crypto. It's probably the easiest way if you want to donate to the Sense Foundation.
No, I think what he's saying is the OA will donate. Or the SAC addresses will.
No way. He's got he's gonna sell all the other shit he gets.
Yeah, no, that's what he's saying. Not Hex.
Oh,
ETH by ETH. Or whatever, but not Hex. So Hex and Pulse
I mean,
won't.
Richard. You're in Richard as opposed to the OA.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, could be the OA.
Pardon?
Could be the flush. Could be the flush.
Oh, yeah, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. So all right, so let's make a little bit more of a rumor, turn it into fact by spreading it further. So and this is Motley's fault. I'm not sure if he's still in the chat, but on Motley's channel the other day, DC dropped a little nugget about hex scale and could the sacrificed hex be put to good use in something like the Grayscale fund for hex scale?
I don't think so. I think these guys he's been talking to. I mean, there'll be plenty of people. I mean, it's better for them to own their own hex if they're going to be owning a Grayscale. Like they don't need.
No, but you're opening up to a market that they're going to open up a MetaMask account and do all that sort of shit. Not likely.
Yeah. Trezors. Burner.
Well, it's the same. Yeah, why are people buying Grayscale? They can't be asked.
I think the OA is really important that it stays at around 50%. I don't know about the other whales.
No. Forget the OA. Forget the OA. This is the SAC hex. So everything that's been sacrificed.
He gives a sacrifice hex. Yeah, I suppose that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what did Richard say on that stream with Ray? He said that the sacrifice address is going to look favorably at Hexicans and everything else will be sold off. That's what he said.
He said straight up and down, no Pulse and no Hex will be sold. Or won't be. Sorry, will not be given to. Will not be given to the donation addresses.
Yeah.
He said that.
Yeah.
He said that. So
yeah.
We're not. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
who knows? There's so much game theory that can come.
I think
this as well.
Sacrifice hex though that he will probably not sell. I don't think it would be good for that to go to a Grayscale thing. It's better if they buy the hex. That's what shoots the price up. And
they are in the. Yeah, I get your point. Yeah.
If they're just buying off him, then they're not. And I've been really thinking about this OA address. The OA address is super important because it's like Hex inflates at 3.6.9% a year. The supply of Hex replicates compound interest. That's what allows us to get compound interest. And so you need that big weight of half the coins so that it all isn't diluted. So it's really important that the OA is there and nothing happens to that Hex.
my take on the OA is it's a distribution mechanism. So it's a sink at the moment that can support the network, but over time gets diluted.
No.
Well, it is. So you think the OA is not getting diluted at the moment?
No, it is getting diluted. Yeah. Sorry, it is.
Yeah.
Because it's holding liquid, it's getting diluted. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an effect. That's an effect that is distributing to other people.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it can sit there forever and a day and do that, and it can, if it really wanted to move that along quicker, it could stake and stake, and that would distribute more to the stakers. So it can control how fast it does that distribution.
Yeah.
So yeah,
look, he can tinker like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but it's really important that all this sits there because if it doesn't sit there, then although we're getting replicated compound interest, the supply is getting replicated compoundedly as well.
Yeah.
Replicated compound supply. That's how it's able to give such good interest to the stakers. It's all the people who are not staked who are paying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. We all know that, and that's the beauty of the system.
Yeah.
So it's playing out beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys reckon? 4 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks away, Pulse launched.
Oh, he said a couple of days when he was on the Mitch Ray stream. We've all seen how that plays out before.
Bro, but yeah, like.
So in answer to Stephen's question, does MetaMask need to have a seed phrase entered to use it with a hardware wallet? It does, but you can literally fire up a MetaMask account and skip through the backup your seed phrase. So it just creates a burner wallet, and it'll keep annoying you to back up the wallet, but you can actually use the wallet without even backing up the seed phrase. So you can do a one-time use.
The seed phrase doesn't matter because you're not actually storing private keys on there. You're just storing the keys on your Trezor and going through the burner to whatever.
Yeah, and you don't care if you don't ever back that up or you lose it. As long as you're doing it right and you're storing everything on your hardware wallet, you'll be golden.
Yeah.
All right, Bluey and Sammy, it's been fun. I might make tracks, but
I'm a
bit chat. And it was nice. Thanks for lining that interview up, mate. That was a cracker. That was a good one.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks Sammy. Thanks Jex for coming on. Thanks Swalla again, and thanks everyone in the chats. There's loads of you. It's been really lovely seeing everyone so active, and I've really enjoyed it. And we'll be back next week, probably around the same time. Maybe we'll tinker with the times and see.
There's going to be some funny clips coming out of this one, I can tell.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, it's all good fun.
All right, guys. Good weekend.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye for now.
Start is complete. Project not complete. Not the same thing. Promise returns and go build something. How much X is Bitcoin up now? 1,000 X over a penny. Who's designed to replace fiat currency? Back to the 10,000X. Smart fucker I am. 1,000 X over a penny. Who's designed to replace fiat currency? Back to the 10,000X. Smart fucker I am. Well, it was fucking designed. Listen, you stupid fucks, everything else is up higher. Bitcoin did 2 million X, $1,500 fucking dollars. 1,000 X over a penny. who's designed to replace fiat currency. Back to the 10,000x, smart fucker I am. 1000x over a penny, who's designed to replace fiat currency. Back to the 10,000x, smart fucker I am. Idiots to slap their whips. It did 2 million X in 2017, fucking did. They're smart enough to notice that. Can't handle this in blockchain. 1000x over a penny, who's designed to replace fiat currency. Back to the 10,000x, smart fucker I am. 1000x over a penny, who's designed to replace fiat currency. Back to the 10,000x, smart fucker I am. Back to the 10,000x, smart fucker I am.